Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Green Effect Podcast. This is episode number 37, part 1 of 2, and we've got a really cool guest today. We've got Dan Gibson, who is the creator of the Baby Gang. Creator in more than one way. They are huge on YouTube, and of course, Dan is from Kitchener-Waterloo, so it was great to have him in. We're going to talk about a bunch of really cool things in part 1. So how did this whole Baby Gang thing get started? How does he feel about people outside looking in on him and his family, and how do they all deal with that? How does someone with 4 kids, 3 triplets, stay happy and have a very happy marriage? Because if you watch them on video, they are incredibly happy. There's no other way to put it. Kids, raising kids. How does he and Corrie, his wife, do all this and stay sane? Tough decision to have Corrie stay home with the kids and not work. We're going to talk about that. Risks, fears of having their lives out there for everyone to see. And we touch on some YouTube stuff. So first, part 1 of 2, great episode. Dan's just a fantastic guest to have on. And without further delay, here we go with Dan Gibson.
Welcome to the Green Effect Podcast. Finance, life, business, and everything in between. And now, your host, Stephen Green.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Green Effect Podcast. Today, we've got Dan Gibson. He is the creator of the official Baby Gang. Dan, welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's good to be here. Long overdue, I feel.
Yeah, all good, man. All good. Well, we've known each other for a little while. We work with each other, but we haven't had a chance to do this. So I'm pretty excited for it, that's for sure. All right, so give me a 1-minute elevator speech. Tell me all about you, 1 minute or less. Previous life, name, rank, and number. Go for it.
Okay, so my name's Dan Gibson, born and raised out of Cambridge, Ontario. I'm the creator of the Baby Gang, which is a social network dedicated to sharing mine and my wife's experience as new parents to multiple children. We have a currently 6-year-old daughter and 4-year-old triplets. We've had a lot of viral success around some of the content that we've created, basically allowing us to have some sort of business opportunities, some crazy brand partnerships, and just a content created and exposure with so many people around the world that we've been able to share our journey for.
That's awesome. And you know, it's we're going to get into this. I can't imagine how you do it, you know, and that's where I'm so fascinated. Listen, I'm married, 2 kids, I have a job, I have a dog. Man, that's a lot most days. So we're going to talk about that. But so the Baby Gang, how did this all happen?
Ever since I was younger, I was always fascinated with creating some sort of content, whether it was taking pictures, creating video. In my early stages prior to YouTube, it was always doing random videos with my friends, pranking them, doing dare videos. And
so all that stuff my kids come up with, they're 17 and 19. That can lead to something,
honestly,
that makes money?
Honestly, it can. And I remember even doing a segment on CB News. I went on there and I just wanted to tell people, whoever was listening, I don't even know, but I just said, if you have an idea, run with it, because you never know where it can take you. I still am in shock that I still have had the growth of my social channels. I'm still in shock that I've had the amount of views that I've had, and that continues to rise. Maybe not at the pace that I'd like it to, but to have that experience, it's super surreal, and it's been quite a journey, 100%.
Yeah, and that's, I get it because so listen, I'm a creator, I do stuff.
Absolutely.
Right? I hope it provides value.
Look at
to
the
people,
setup, I love it.
I know, right? Thank you. I get where there is that shock of, because for people who haven't seen, like I said, the Baby Gang, the official Baby Gang, it's on YouTube, it's everywhere, and it is surreal that your life, because I know your stuff's pretty genuine, right? It is stuff that people enjoy, and I use the word value, but I guess that is kind of the right term, right?
Yeah, I completely value everything that I do. I'm super lucky and grateful to have these experiences have happened to me. And I always want to show appreciation to people that follow us, show love and experience the journey with us. And it's not just locally, it's literally around the world. We have a big following in India. We have a big following in Europe. It's super surreal. It's almost like the following internationally is bigger than the following we have locally, which is surprising, but that's something that I'm just trying to work on too.
Yeah. And so, okay. So keep going with that. So, I mean, so Corrie is your wife. So she did a video. I'll try to, I'll actually put up the video with the simulcast on YouTube for this podcast. And or at least put the link if I'm not able to, because as much as I'm a creator, I can't work magic just yet. So
I can always help you if you need it.
Thank you. Careful how often you say that around here, because people will take you up on that. But okay, so this video goes out.
Yeah.
Your poor wife's trying to change 4 kids. Then what happens?
We created this video with our thought in mind when the triplets and Emily were around 2 months. She was a little older. And it wasn't until 6 months after that thought came, we said, hey, random Wednesday. It was actually the 4-year anniversary was last Thursday, and thinking, let's do that video. And we created the video. Corrie was we set up the tripod. Corrie was in the room, setting, just making magic happen. Strongest woman I know, 100%. And, I was in the back behind the camera with my tripod, and I'm just thinking, this is the funniest thing ever. And I was so excited to edit the video that Wednesday night so I could post it for the Thursday. Posted it online the next day, added a little time lapse on it, and it just blew up. I thought it was surreal to hit 10,000 views. I'm like, wow, I've never seen more than one of my videos hit more than this amount of views. And then within the hour or so, or 2 hours, I think it hit around 50,000 views. And that's when I'm like, Corrie, we went viral. We did it. And it was a big milestone. And I was like, just in complete shock. Then it
went viral and you're not in prison. Perfect.
Yeah, exactly. I did it naturally in a good way. And then from there, within the weekend, it hit 1 million views. Following week, 20 million views. Now up to this point, 4 years later, it's at 106 million views. And there was always times where I'm like, okay, I guess it's slowing down. And then boom, it would just spike back up again. Now, this isn't my only video. I started creating a whole kind of series. Started with mom versus triplets plus toddler, then dad versus triplets plus toddler. Then I got my brother to do it and just watch him struggle, which was great. But nothing compares to the magnitude of the original video. It's a great entry point for my channel and gives good exposure on what people can expect. And it leads to just other unique, fun, friend, family, loving content, I would say.
So this is really, it's something where you, for lack of a better term, I know you're going to be humble about this, but you've kind of created a bit of an empire around this, like call it an enterprise maybe,
sure.
Right? Where I think people these days, and hey, speak to this, they love looking into other people's lives.
Yes.
And
Instagram is a perfect example.
Yeah. So, how did you start to take this, make it bigger? You've got different and I can see the evolution of it.
For sure.
Did you just do that on your own? Like, how did you do all this?
Yeah, it was all on my own. Corrie was new to being on camera. I don't even think she really wanted to be on camera when we first made the video. But I've always kind of tried to push her outside of her comfort zone a little bit. And even still,
I'm sure she appreciates that.
I'm sure she does. I hope so. Corrie, if you ever listen to this, you better. Even myself, I was pushing myself out of my comfort zone, but I've always just been willing to just kind of put myself out there, coming from a place of, fear or worrying about what people think of you, the judgment. And you can go through our comments and you'll see quite a bit of judgment as people know us. But I've always just maintained that kind of genuine thought process that I'm doing it because I love it. I'm having fun with it. And I want to make the best of my parenting experiences. And, to see our page generally go from around 1,500 likes to 500,000 on Facebook and then growing outside of other platforms is quite a surreal experience. And, one that I don't often take for granted because, I put in a lot of work to make it happen, try to seek out as much advice as possible. But really, it just came down to me and Corrie just kind of sticking and working together to maintain that somewhat relevancy.
So it's mainly the both of you doing a lot of the work on this then?
We do all the work. Wow. Yeah, all the work. I work full time. She's stay-at-home mom, which has allowed her the opportunity. Now, she was working earlier when the babies were first born, but yeah, it's just us two. And we were kind of a little sensitive to other people kind of handling any kind of product with videos because it's our kids. They're so young in diapers, certain exposures, whatever. It couldn't sit well with me. So I always just kind of put in the work myself.
Yeah. And we're going to get into that later on too.
Sure.
I want to talk about risk, exposure. I mean, good God, your kids are out there, right? So I can just imagine, as exciting as it is, that there's got to be stuff that, going through the back of your mind. So we'll talk about that though.
Sure.
All right. So you're going to have to explain this to me, man. I'm married. I got 2 kids. I got a dog. That's a lot of work. And I got a job. How you and Corrie look so damn happy all the time. And I know you are a happy guy.
Sure.
Happy guy. I'm probably oversimplifying that or making it sound kind of crazy, but you know what, you are,
no, I think you're right.
You're a pretty positive guy, right?
Yeah.
So just, if you don't mind, and it can be high level, how do you and Corrie stay so not out of, not in the nut house? Like, how do you do that?
Well, if I'm being honest, Corrie and I we've been together for so long, pretty much since high school.
Yeah, you're high school sweethearts,
we are
right?
high
I've
school
seen some of those
sweethearts.
pictures, by the way. If you want some entertainment, go check out those ones.
Yeah, they're always good gems for me to find, especially if I'm wearing like a 3 times oversized suit for her prom.
Well, I'm looking, I'm like, whoa, is this the Eminem page or is this? It's Dan. Never mind.
So true. There's no doubt that we haven't had any kind of struggles, arguments, things like that. There's been a lot of battles that we've overcome, but we've always overcome them together. And I think we just kind of complement each other and our personality so well, where we're always willing to kind of deep dive into things together and kind of move forward together and realize that there's a lot of value with the relationship that we have. And yeah, it's I naturally am just a positive and happy person, and I think it's because I've grown up in a relatively negative mindset or environment growing up. It's same similarity with Corrie as well. I'm also really patient, and I just like to have fun and just try to make the best of any opportunity, whether it's career or personal. I'm always just thinking, okay, this is what it is. There's nothing I can do about it. I can either choose to be upset or I can choose to point out everything that's wrong, or I can just live what it is, put a smile on my face and just go with it and see what happens. And most times when you do, it's going to work out for the better for you.
That is so tough.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, I say, so he's 19 this year. I might say 18 or 19. But my 18-year-old son, drives by the recycling bin, and when he pulls his car in at night, and I want to take the recycling bin when I come home and drop it on his car. But, it's again, I don't do that, just for the record. I don't do that. But, I can't, it's like kudos to you guys, because I think that's, to take on the challenges that you do, that's awesome. That's amazing. Now, I think we're all impacted by when, stuff we went through as a kid, and what kind of things did you go through when you were growing up that maybe get your mindset where it is?
Well, one thing is my mom has always battled drugs and alcohol. She's a recovering addict right now, 13 years clean. She was almost 13 years sober, but had a relapse last year. So that kind of put things down into a little bit of a spiral. Things that have actually impacted our relationship, right? But it's always the thought process about, okay, this is the things that you messed up on, but what are we going to do to move forward with it? And I think that's something that can just be applied to pretty much every aspect in your life. But I've always looked at my parents and some of the struggles that they've gone and looked at them, and it sucks for me to say, but with the struggles that they had, I looked at them and I said, that is not what I want to be when I grow up. And I've always felt like I've had this level of consciousness about what's right, what's wrong, what's important to me, what kind of values I have, and what I want to aspire to. And I found that a lot of those outlets through physical fitness, being an active person, being sociable, and just kind of, if I see something that I like, I just put my I'll put my focus on it, and I'll figure it out. And I'm not the greatest at everything. I think about the videos that I edit or the content that I put out. It's nothing amazing. And one thing I love is that it's relatable. It's for just about anybody to do. Like, people can watch my vlogs and I feel like they can watch them and feel like, if he's doing this and it's like this, I think I can do this. And that's kind of what I want to aspire to. I don't have to be the greatest at everything, but I just love trying new things and I love learning. And if I find something that I like, I'll just naturally stick with it.
And I think from a business perspective, almost going with what works and being relatable. We've talked about that on the show before, where I've had business owners on, and it's been, we do well at business because we are relatable. We're like normal people, and I think that's probably why your content is where it's at, because people can relate to you. We don't have triplets, but we can relate to that.
Relate to family.
Yeah, I know. Watching some of your videos, listen, and what I'm about to say is not a slight, but your house has toys everywhere, right? It's
I've come to peace with that.
Yeah, it's messy, but you know what? I go home and I grew up in a relatively we'll say strict Italian household where my mother made my bed till I was 13, and she she did all that work. Well, now I come home and in the real world, where the real, again, we'll call it the real world, because I know that was not the real world that I grew up in. Very good childhood, no issue.
Absolutely.
But, I come home and, there's stuff on the ground, or the kitchen's not cleaned up. It's like, I can relate to what you're going through, So it's nice when you're on camera and it's just stuff you deal with. You're not cleaning up the house because you got to do a video, right?
Yeah. Well, we will, right? We'll show, hey, this is it's a good content structure. It's just like, hey guys, our house is a mess. Let me show you how I clean it. And people people love seeing that. I've also learned to never go home and say, Corrie, what did you do all day? That'll get you in the doghouse for sure. But you know what? I used to kind of have a way where it's just like, I come home working and I'm like, why is this house? I've come to peace with that. It is what it is. We have a relatively small house. We try and live a minimalistic lifestyle when we can. We're always removing, but it's just the reality, right? We have a smaller space. There's going to be more of a mess everywhere. And it's just something that's going to have to get taken care of when the kids basically go to bed.
Yeah, exactly.
Which I'm okay with.
What time do you guys actually get to bed?
Well, when I'm thinking of the content and videos and photo editing, I tend to, don't get me wrong, I like to dabble in video games and spend some time with myself watching.
You mean time for yourself?
Oh,
what?
100%,
No.
man, 100%. But I also want to be there for Corrie and I want to be as supportive as possible, right? So I'm willing to risk sleep so I can have me time. So generally we put the kids to bed around 7:30, which I'm assuming that the older they'll get, the later it's going to be. But
I remember 7:30. Oh, it was awesome.
So nice, right?
Yeah. Now it's like, shut off your phone. It's 10 o'clock.
Yeah. Get off your tablet. The kids are learning their tablet, but I also don't want to stop them from, learning technology and the way the future of the world.
Yes, you do.
I don't.
Stop. Don't let it.
No, I can't. It's the way.
Wait till your first Instagram incident.
Oh, I know.
We call it the Instagram incident.
I just know that one thing that, yes, it's great for them to use and expose, but if I can help them learn how everything is created, I don't know how to code, but if I can get them into learning certain skill sets like that, it's just going to set them up for a lot of success with the way the future will basically go.
And listen, their lives have been so out there. You almost, and we run it, I mean, our kids are not on video at all like that, as far as I know, but you do have to do a lot of work to show them right and wrong
100%
on social media.
Yeah.
And even at how old are the four?
They'll be 5 in May. They're 4 right now, and Emily just turned 6.
So grade 1 and JK, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, just when that, you gotta teach them that stuff. You have to be proactive. We've had to do that with our kids, and we went through the learning phase because Instagram was new for our kids. And listen, your kids will have the same thing, right? But man, you got to be proactive on trying to teach them some of that stuff.
100%. So. It's quite the journey, and we always think about like how we, there are comments, you guys are basically using your kids for, content or entertainment, but it's something that, people actually enjoy and want to follow. And we're really grateful to have the connection with so many people around the world. And
I would say, you know what? Yeah, it is entertaining. So
Yeah.
it is entertaining to watch. There's nothing wrong with
I
that.
put videos out, and I never expected them to blow up as big as they did and create the experiences, and I don't expect that they will last forever. Maybe they will, who knows? But I think it's going to be amazing for when the kids are older and say, hey, when you guys were young, you ran the internet for this period of time to have the newspaper article. I have everything, newspaper articles.
I saw you guys on Global News, right?
Yeah, all of those links saved, right? We were on Ellen DeGeneres' show. We had Nick Cannon's team.
You were on Ellen's show.
Yeah, we were. Yeah, we didn't make it on there. That was a little disappointing, but we thought we were going to be going when we Skyped with their production company, and then we at least got featured on one of the daytime shows, and then we were, Nick Cannon, People's Magazine, all of these things that if you just Google the Baby Gang, you'll find an abundance of articles and write-ups and stuff that have been created, not just from us, but from other people.
Wow. So walk me through, and I think we've touched a little bit on this, but not very much, but walk me through you and Corrie sitting there one night. This video has come out.
Yeah.
The decision to go the route that you did with the content. Why?
I've always enjoyed making content in general. So it was just something that, I was doing even before my kids. It was just a little different. And then, when I had Emily, my first baby, I really transitioned the way I wanted to do it. Corrie really had no part in doing it until the triplets were more involved. And it's because she just wasn't comfortable and wanted to be on camera. It was just something I enjoyed doing. And I'm like, hey, I'm going to share my experience as being a new parent and a dad learning with his daughter girl, who he's never had any experience with, changing a diaper. Everything is brand new. And it was just so exciting. And I just loved being that involved parent. It was just such a big sense of reward that I really enjoyed, a bond that I just truly loved, and I can see how it's unfolding as time goes by more and more, right? Yeah. And I can't believe, I think every time a birthday happens, I'm like, yeah, I was able to support my family for 5 years, 6 years, 7 years. I'm like, so far so good, let's keep going. But I created the content thinking, okay, let's keep it going, and making that video of mom versus triplets plus toddler, and then seeing the power of the internet take place. It gave you a little bit of a rush and a feeling, and you're like, okay, well, let's utilize this time and keep it going. And then I thought, okay, well, I can either leave it and have 15 minutes of fame, or I can try to pursue whatever opportunities. And I'm sure there's brands that will want to work out with families, but I never, ever expected anything to ever go big. I never in a million years would have thought. I'm like, I just post it because I love it. I want to share it with people that might want to follow us. It is a unique situation. Not everybody has triplets naturally. I just kind of wanted to go in that direction, reached out to a company, and then just kind of roll downhill from there.
How does the rest of your family feel? Not Corrie and the kids, but what about the rest of your family?
I think they were in just as much shock as I was. My brothers.
Are they okay with it all?
Yeah, they're totally fine. My brothers, we've been through everything together. I've been through foster care. I've been through abandonment, abuse, whatever. But I've always been with them and growing up through those experiences. And they've always, we've always been as different as we are as people. We've always just been there for each other and have been so supportive. Corrie's family, super supportive. Actually, her parents are just always there and were a big contributor to the baby's life growing up. Awesome. No real complaints. My parents somehow think I make $1 million a year on YouTube, which I'm sure is...
Wait, you don't?
I know, right?
Oh, hold on a second.
It's definitely possible, and I still think it is. Everything that we've done allows Corrie to stay at home, be a stay-at-home mom, which I'm super grateful because she's the one who gets to raise our kids.
How awesome is that? So I just completely gave my bias there, but you said that when the kids were younger, she was working, but then she stopped working, right? So how old were all the kids? All the kids, like you have a whole house full, you do, but how old were all the kids when she decided to stop working?
Well, so she decided to stop working when the triplets were born. Okay. She was working nights, pregnant with triplets, driving to Mississauga, which is, we're from Cambridge, so 3 cities over. working nights full time, and we had a baby at home.
Yeah.
So she would come home,
So
sleep.
you're working during the day.
I'm
she's
working during the
oh,
day.
that's tough,
So
yeah.
this is where the support from family came in, and everybody was on her side was able to kind of come in, and they would watch them for a couple hours while she slept, and then she would get up.
Yeah.
But strongest person I know, and I remember telling Corrie, I said, if you make it 30 weeks working full time with triplets, I said, I'll bow to you as the strongest person. She went 35 and a half weeks working, had the babies the following week after at around 36 weeks or so. And full term for triplets was 32 and a half or 33
Yeah,
weeks.
Not, what, was that 8 months? 7 months? 7, 8 months?
Yeah. And so the corrective age for the triplets is 1 month behind. But, we had them on a Monday. We were home on Thursday. They came out like super babies.
Wow.
Yeah, all born at 5'1", 5'6", and 5'3", and it was just like miraculous to see. That it blows everybody away when I tell them.
I couldn't listen. I'm a guy. I don't. I'm a wimp. A little bit of pain, and I got to take a week off, right? Like my hangnail.
The common cold.
Oh my god! it may as well be, like the measles, because the world is going to end.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I tell my wife has chronic migraines, and of course 2 kids, and I told her, I said, man, physically being a woman, I get it, man. I don't get it. I said, I appreciate what you go through. I said, I could never have kids. I said, the stuff your bodies go through, God bless you, because I couldn't do it.
I always have to recognize Corrie, and I do. It's funny because I'll post something so long on Instagram, just being like, Corrie's a lifeline in the blood of our family.
I've seen some of those.
Yeah. So for her birthday.
No, but is that after an argument or something?
No.
Okay,
It's always. I'm always willing to appreciate and show love to Corrie. But it's funny because I'll acknowledge. I'm like, I'll write this on Instagram so for everyone else to see my appreciation, and then I'll put in brackets, I guess I'll go tell her this in person now because she needs to know.
That's right.
Exactly. But we struggle. We go through battles like every other couple, every other parents. And one thing I always want to kind of recognize is that we're not superior to other people. We're not better parents than anybody else. We just put in the effort and we just focus on working together.
Did you get that from people? Like the people, because listen, I know you. I know you guys are humble, but I know you, and I see the videos, and I put 2 and 2 together. But do you get a lot of flack for that? Do people just like slam you for that sort of thing?
No, actually, I can't say that they do. I don't see a lot. People are just more judging about what they're seeing in the video.
Okay,
and saying,
judging might be the better word to use.
Yeah, they're just more passing their judgment, saying, what something we might be doing wrong or whatever. And don't get me wrong, I'm always open to advice and opinions. I always keep an open mind, and that's just who I am as a person. It just sometimes it mind blows me when people get upset when you don't take their advice and make you feel like, you're doing it wrong, or that's it's just. There's no real one way of parenting. What might work for somebody else may not work for me, and vice versa. Yeah. But it's just that we need to respect that thought for other people.
You took the words right out of my mouth.
Yeah.
There's no book.
There's no book.
So with our kids at our age, and listen, we have friends with kids.
Yeah.
And how the kids turn out sometimes doesn't have a real correlation to how you raise them and stuff. Sometimes the friends they end up with.
Well, and that's the one thing I've learned in learning from other people with older kids or learning from people that might have gone through specific struggles when they're younger. The one thing I always know is that I'm not their only influence. Mm-hmm. And that's the one thing people jump to is that how are things at home? Who are their parents? Whatever.
100%.
And it's just something that I always keep top of mind. One thing that I want my kids to always know is that vulnerability is super important, and more so that it's okay to be vulnerable, and it's ideal to recognize that this world is really challenging, and our brains are naturally hardwired for struggle, and my kids are going to struggle. But the thing I want them to know is that they're always going to have a sense of belonging and love from myself and Corrie.
Awesome.
For sure.
And that is hard. That sometimes as a kid, you don't realize that. And I mean, we're relative to the same age, but you don't realize that till you're older, and when you look back and you're like, okay, that was always there, or whatever the case may be. Right. So a little bit on that note around, people viewing the videos and making comments. So what kind of risks, fears, issues have you run into or you prepared for with fans and viewers and people posting on social media?
I think the biggest thing is like people would copy or steal our photos, post them as their own, or they would save them. It's a little bit of concerning because, you just don't know what people are doing with that content, which is a major concern, right? So one thing that I've had to always be mindful of is what type of content am I posting and the kind of exposure it's giving to the kids, right? Thinking back when I created the video of all of them being changed into diapers, it's a little, now it's something that you won't see very often because of the exposure the babies have. Things like that. I guess I would say more filming around the neighborhood that we're in. So, we've never really had any major issues. People know where we live. People know who we are.
Still live in Cambridge, right?
Yeah, we still live in Cambridge. We were always mindful about, with Emily going to school, not really posting her school in the background. Things like that. I go through probably every thought process that any other parent would just go through. But I also have to be mindful of what it is. My kids like to run around without a shirt on or pants on. And, if we're making a video, I'm like, guys, you cannot be in this video, or I can't record with you if you're not going to have clothes on. Right. And they love to have fun. They think it's good. And it's great when we're not recording, but we also need to be aware of, what kind of documents we have in the background that might be hanging on our fridge, what kind of things, private things that are going to be relatively exposed. And one of the things that we've been struggling with our YouTube, because we have kids involved in our channel, is that our comments have been disabled for almost a year now, because of a lot of struggles that YouTube has had around the control with pedophilia. Not necessarily with us and our kids in general, but just as a platform network. It's been a struggle, and it's been really hard to connect with people that actually want to follow us.
Well, and they just changed their terms and conditions, because when I upload to YouTube, it's like, is this for kids?
Is this for kids or no?
Yeah.
And it's a mandatory requirement from the
they're the U.S. governing body, I'm assuming.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah, that's just exactly it is, because you have to comply with their rules. So it will limit the amount of money I can potentially make with the monetization on the content, which is okay with me. But it also can restrict the type of people that's like the people that see our video and the exposure that it might get.
And it's probably, as much as the monetization is an issue, it's probably good anyway.
The one thing I have a struggle with is that I'll see other channels with kids in their video and they have contents. And then I'll reach out to the creator studio team and I'll be like, how come these channels have contents with kids in their video, or comments with kids in their videos, and mine don't? And they can just never answer to that. I always just want a better understanding.
So let me ask this question then. So sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, that's okay.
Sometimes I'm a guy, so I stop and I can't interrupt. So on that note, because we are going to talk about social media.
Sure.
Okay. And we want to get into, I basically want to steal some kind of cool little hints and tips on that note. So everyone who uploads to YouTube has run into this. Okay.
Correct.
So when you click on yes, this is good for kids, or no, what do those two things mean?
Well, so it's just more for the regulation and how you have to comply with using the platform. If it's primarily focused with kids, because we've run into the battle where we're like, okay, well, they feature our kids, but I wouldn't say it's just for kids.
Okay, so that's it. So is it that they have kids in it, or it is geared?
It's specifically geared for kids.
Oh, okay. So something like this show, for example, the answer is no.
Yeah.
Because it's not really geared for kids.
No, it could be geared towards everybody, I would say. Right.
Okay.
So we really have to make that determination on each individual video that we make, and kind of keep that on the back burner to say, okay, is this focusing with the kids on like what we're doing? Like if I'm doing a push-up video with the kids saying I'm the world's strongest dad, yes, that's going to be geared towards kids because it shows them as the primary focal point. Whereas if, we are shopping as a family, buying what it's like for a family of 6, sure, our kids might be in there, but I wouldn't say it's specifically for kids. I would say it's more for everyone on the platform that might find this relatable.
Because it was confusing when I was reading. I'm like, okay, now sometimes if you are well intended, you're like, what does this mean, right?
Yeah.
But that makes sense.
I think the whole regulation around that is going to be relatively damaging. I mean, from a monetary perspective, for people on the platform that are trying to use the platform to earn income.
Really?
Unless they're partnering with brands, even like somebody who's like Ryan Toys Review, who's the biggest kid platform on YouTube. Even his videos don't have comments, and he's making millions and millions with his toy brands.
So saying yes, it's geared towards kids means they're not allowed to have comments. Is that what that means then?
No. So whether I say yes or no, my comments are disabled just because of our channel specifically. I don't know if it's because I have baby in the channel. I haven't really gotten a direct answer as well, but our videos are primarily heavily focused with our kids involved, doing pretty much everything.
Interesting.
So it's been a challenge. Even when I try and say, hey, I want to allow comments for review, it'll allow me for that split second. As soon as I refresh the page, it says comments are disabled. So I don't know, but they're still working on some sort of AI to eliminate the issues that they've been having, I'm thinking. But still, I'm like kind of in the dark for it.
And, having said that, I mean, so people listening will know what I'm a club director for a volleyball club here in KW. And
I heard you're pretty intense.
You probably have heard that. It's that's a whole other show. But when I get on the volleyball court and I'm coaching, and obviously, so I don't scare people away, we're talking about the older kids. I'm not a big fan of. I'm not a win at all costs guy.
I'll host a podcast for you.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
It'd be like a therapy session, but so I put out content for the volleyball club. It'd be a vlog when I'm at a convention or whatever, and through our website as an example. Not it goes on YouTube, but through our website. And the comments I get for moderation are ridiculous. Like, it's just garbage. Yeah. So, I mean, people have been abusing it for a while. Comments on any video. I know we were talking about YouTube, but even on the website. Like, really? Like, some of the comments, like, come on, man.
Wherever the internet is, or wherever there's a place where you can leave anonymous tips or comments, there's always going to be those trolls and those people that just kind of ruin it for everybody else.
I mean, there's so many, like, Viagra things you get, and you're like, man... How many more of these am I going to get? And is it my wife? Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
So it's sad, but it is what it is, I guess, right?
You know what? And that's the thing where, I can choose to stop or I can just keep going. And I mean, I do it because I enjoy it. And, I want to be more consistent, but I also have to realize that I'm still a person. I still work a full-time job. Yeah. I still have my kids to look after, and they're always going to be my main priority. Whenever it is, we can. And, we're lucky that we have a relatively loyal following and people that enjoy seeing our pictures. But there's just so many ways. You don't always have to just make a video for YouTube. You can, they have other ways where you can post a story on YouTube now, like Instagram. Yeah. You have pictures you can post. You can integrate that with things like TikTok. You can do Facebook, Instagram. And I've always wanted to maintain or have relevancy on all platforms across. And that way, when you look at the things that Facebook has gone to and how they've suppressed their content and the legal issues that they've gone through, it's almost kind of crippling them where, now I have other outlets that I can still focus on and continue to grow my brand.
And there you have it. Dan Gibson, creator of Baby Gang, part 1 of 2. Make sure you listen in for part 2 because we're going to talk about a lot of social media stuff. So if you're into social media, you're going to like part 2. Facebook versus Instagram, hashtags, cards on YouTube, how to make all that stuff work. Twitter, TikTok. I'm on TikTok. That's it. I'm that guy. I'm on TikTok. It is what it is. Privacy. How does he feel about that? Do we still have it? I don't know if we do. And we also talk about Corrie partnering with different companies, and of course the Baby Gang partnering with different companies, just partnerships from YouTube in general. Hope you can be there for the second episode, part 2 of 2, and until next time, we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you for listening to the Green Effect Podcast. Subscribe to this podcast on iTunes or Google Play so you catch the next episode. And don't forget to leave a review. Much appreciated.